Hey, this is Marketplace Tech Bytes. It's our weekly wrap-up of some of the big stories making headlines in the industry, and probably some you might have missed. I'm your host, Megan McCarty-Carino. This week, we're going to talk about the CEO of Telegram facing charges in France over criminal activity. San Francisco's startup scene looks like it's flourishing again. And Meta cancels an expensive mixed reality headset. Here to chat about all that is our regular guest, Natasha Mascarenas from The Information. Hey, Natasha.
Hello, hello. Good to be back. How's it going?
It's going well. So good to see you. And we're going to kick things off, as we usually do, with our Byte of the Week. This is a number that tells us something important about the week that was in tech. So, Natasha, what is your number?
Well, this week I'm going to go with 110. And that represents 110 grams, which is the estimated weight of the device that we're going to be talking about later in the show today that Meta is now considering. So I'll give you some context, but let's just say it's twice as heavy as Meta's Ray-Ban smart glasses, but still 1/5 the weight of some of its other work.
Okay, so I'm not going to lie. I thought we were going to get into some like drug trafficking discussion having to do with our number one story when we were talking grams, but
that is so fair.
My number is 10, which is the number of years in prison that could be faced by Telegram CEO Pavel Durov for the charge of complicity in managing an online platform to allow illicit transactions by an organized group. Of course, you know, this is kind of the big story in tech this week. Telegram, it's kind of a messaging and social media app. It has end-to-end encryption. It's facing a wide range of preliminary charges in France over these allegations. How is this sort of rippling through the tech world?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, listen, Telegram is one of those apps that has been started for, you know, nearly a little over a decade now. It was founded in 2013, and it has captured a lot of tech from being used in Sam Bankman-Fried's conversations about loans to the crypto community. You know, as the app has around 900 million users, the crypto community has specifically found a home there because of, you know, both the ethos of resistance to government oversight, free expression, but also, you know, there is a lot of ongoing examples of the times that Telegram has been welcoming to the crypto community, which we can't say for every social media platform and certainly not every tech company.
Right. And part of what has specifically gotten Telegram into trouble in France appears to be its resistance to cooperating, you know, with investigations, to turning over information to authorities. Of course, kind of in the context of criminal investigations, this seems on its face problematic, but we actually spoke with a researcher in Ukraine last year about how folks there are using the app to send confidential information and make sure that it's not intercepted, you know, by the Russians. And so there are places in the world where this designation that they do not cooperate is an important feature, right?
Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, Telegram is used among, you know, in my world, the Indian diaspora community to talk about inside jokes and send memes. But at the same time, Telegram is the source of news in these in authoritarian governments. I mean, in Ukraine, to your point, it's been used to share information on the war, to deliver missile and air raid alerts, according to CBS. And so, you know, it's almost this evergreen debate in tech and challenge in technology, which is one, policing illegal activity online has always been hard. And two, how do you hold the companies that deal with that, but also play important roles in other impactful ways accountable? So, I mean, everyone is talking about it. Everyone is watching it, from the crypto community to, you know, actually like the global world and free speech enthusiasts.
Well, it is an ongoing and unfolding story we'll continue to keep an eye on. But we want to go now to some recent data that was released about the tech hub where you are in San Francisco. Seems to show reports of its death may have been exaggerated. According to this recent report from the VC firm SignalFire, San Francisco remains the go-to city for tech startups, specifically those in the AI space. What did you make of this data?
Yeah. And, big shout out to Josh Constein, my former colleague who led the research for SignalFire. Listen, I feel it. I feel like the arc of San Francisco is one that I was warned about before I ever moved here 6 years ago, and that it always has worked in cycles. And I for sure, saw a sort of disappearance of meetings, dinners, happy hours, hackathons during the pandemic, and it is quote unquote back in a way that we no longer have to put in quotes anymore. So I'll take it back. But what stood out to me about this report was the argument that it never left. It shows that data is complicated and it's hard. But it also shows that the maybe cycles that we're thinking of are a little exaggerated, and maybe people didn't leave. They just talked about it more than they actually did. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it seems like potentially, the reversal of a trend that various other data sets seem to have shown. There was some analysis from the economist Joseph Politano earlier this year in April, analyzing Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics data that seemed to show that California's share of tech jobs in 2024 was the lowest that it's been in a decade, sort of, because so many tech jobs had moved to other tech hubs like Austin, Texas. We've seen Elon Musk saying he's going to move, X and SpaceX to Austin, these kinds of big companies moving their headquarters. How do you kind of reconcile these two diverging narratives?
I think that data is imperfect. And I will say, like, as we see, like you said, some of these big names say that they're leaving San Francisco, we're seeing other big names redouble down on San Francisco. I think a big detail that's been important, I mean, there's two companies I can list off the top of my head that are recommitting to San Francisco, asking their employees or founders to be there. One is Y Combinator, which is the premier startup accelerator. And the other is Rippling, which is actually growing its footprint in San Francisco. And so I think, even a decade from now, Megan, we'll be talking about the same sort of divergent trends because tech and the boom and the visibility is so cyclical. But for now, I can say that the data definitely matches the sentiment, which is it's never been more active, and it's never been more of a surface area that founders are excited about, at least in the tech world. Surface area is like the way that these companies get built, more from the luck and philosophical perspective. So I'm definitely seeing that change happen. I would be remiss to say, of course, that like there are still signs that San Francisco is struggling. I don't want it to seem like San Francisco's back means that we're all, everything's all good. I mean, apartment rents are still below 2019 levels. Retailers are shutting downtown. And there's also this record number of offices that are listed for leases that are just sitting open. So it's still a divergent trend is probably the headline there.
Yeah, everyone is always leaving California and the state is about to collapse and fall into the sea. That's the narrative that we always hear in California, but we're still here. So
yes, we are.
All right. So let's look at some hardware announcements made this week. Meta has canceled its plans for a premium mixed reality headset. This is the Meta XR. Here is Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg talking about what the operating system for this device would look like back in April.
Objects like huge screens into your physical space, navigating and interacting with virtual spaces, and supporting developers and creators and building all of these new apps and experiences. You can do all this on Quest today, but now we're also working with Lenovo, Asus ROG, Xbox, and more to build headsets that are going to be designed for specific use cases.
Okay, so it's the end of the XR headset, premium headset, but not necessarily the end for this dream, right?
No. I mean, yeah, we reported this week both that they had canceled that first preview we saw, but now we're back with a new one. It's right now considering a mixed reality glasses set that is very sweetly codenamed Puffin, which I just want to pause. I haven't heard a name that cute in a while for a prototype.
So you mentioned at the top here how much Puffin is predicted to weigh. Tell us more about why are they going with the Puffin route instead of the XR route?
It's hard to say, but we know that Meta has cared about augmented, virtual, and mixed reality for a very long time. This project Puffin is an alternative to large, heavy headset, but it is going to still resemble this bulky pair of glasses. And I think it's just another example of how Meta is trying to find a product that has broader customer appeal. We're not going to see it until a potential 2027 release, but it is an example of an alternative compared to the pricey headset we were talking about earlier this week that just got canceled. And I'll just say, like, Meta has a little bit of confidence, right? It had its Ray-Ban smart glasses that it launched, but the glasses didn't have AR, VR capabilities. They were still popular, and I think they showed interest. And now we're seeing them trying to, capitalize it more. And there's many prototypes in development. I'm sure there'll be more that we hear.
I mean, and speaking of pricey mixed reality headsets, you kind of can't have that conversation without mentioning the Apple Vision Pro. I mean, is this kind of playing in the same sandbox as that?
Yeah, I mean, Meta's original mixed reality headset that it was working on and canceled was meant to compete with the Apple Vision Pro. Now we're getting a chance to look at a different prototype that it could make it all the way to production. Let's see. At this point, we don't have a price for Puffin, so we don't know if it's going to be competitive price wise. But yeah, it's definitely. I think you're right in saying that they're thinking about a company when they're building.
All right. Thank you, Natasha. That is Natasha Mascarenhas from The Information. So good to have you this week. And thanks to all of you for joining us for Marketplace Tech Bytes Week in Review. Jesus Alvarado produced this episode. I'm Megan McCarty-Carino.
This is APM.